Hello everyone. One of the ways we're working to stop the spread of COVID is by using physical barriers to prevent the virus spreading person to person. Face masks are the most obvious example. They're simple and effective, but they do have their drawbacks.
For example, they make communication much harder for people with hearing problems. They muffle people's speech, they make it impossible to lip read, and it's easy to dislodge a hearing aid when taking a mask on and off. Thankfully, there are alternatives, like transparent shields, but face masks are just one more example of society's choosing a one-size-fits-all solution that simply doesn't fit all and disadvantages many.
That's one reason your brief for Assessment 2 is so interesting. Designing a puzzle that's easier for a blind person to solve than a sighted person. For once, the person with a disability gets the advantage. So what's involved in designing for someone with a disability?
One way of approaching the task is through inclusive design. Inclusive design is the principle that everything, products, services or spaces, should be designed from the start to be accessible to as many people as possible.
This accessible playground is a great example. It's been designed so that almost anyone can enjoy it, regardless of age, gender or ability.
Dignified design is another important idea. This is the principle that a person with a disability should be able to use something without drawing unnecessary attention to themselves, or having to ask for help, or being made to feel awkward, demanding, or inferior.
For example, a ramp like this offers a more dignified access solution than a stair lift would.
I came across a great prompt to help us think more inclusively. It's called Cards for Humanity by UK design agency Ideen. When you click the button, it deals you 2 cards which give you a snapshot of a person. Your challenge is to work out how what you're designing will meet this person's needs. Let's give it a go. So here we have a person and 2 traits about them. When we click on View Needs, we can read a little bit about how this trait may affect how they interact with the world around them. We can also see some tips on how we might need to modify our design to be appropriately inclusive. Let's try another. As you can see, you also get some statistics on how many people live with this issue, often more than we might think. When you find a trait that's particularly relevant, you can just swap out one card to give more focus to your challenge. One helpful feature is that not all traits are positive. It's a reminder that people with disabilities aren't that different from anyone else. This activity can help us build empathy, a topic we've looked at in previous videos. But to really get a good picture of a potential user, we need to do some human-centered field research. One way to do this is through interviewing someone. The best interview questions are open-ended ones that encourage people to tell their own stories and explain how they deal with problems. Not, how do blind people use the bus? But, what's it like for you when you use public transport? What are your tips for a successful bus ride? Observation is another technique. Watching someone try to achieve a particular goal or use a prototype of your product. An advantage of observation is that when we're telling a story, we may gloss over some details we think are too obvious or too trivial, when they could be key to solving a problem. You can take notes or use video to document your findings, but always ask permission. Tell your participant what exactly you'll be using the material for, and give them the option to remain anonymous or unidentifiable. In the notes with this video, I put some links to more information about inclusive design, interviewing and observation, and some discussion questions. Happy exploring and stay safe out there.